if you guys want to plan on trying to paint the Strongback, more power to you. But I'm going to tell you my experience. It's just you might as well just have a good afternoon with freaking syphilis. So a big change to my plans on the model here, as when it comes to the Strongback. I really was hell-bent on painting them, but you know, there's a reason. Now I know the reason why everybody uses the decals for the Strongback, even though there are masks for the painting kit. The orbital dry dot kit has it, which is what I have. But now I understand why. My problem is it sticks great to the transfer paper. It does not like to stick to the model. But what makes the Strongback more difficult, it has very small, I mean, it is extremely detailed. Like for here alone, these things are so small. And they just, they don't stay on there at all. You know, it peels up and, you know, you got to get in here, but it just peels right up. You can't get to it. So as soon as you airbrush it, even the light, it's going to just, it's going to go underneath it. It's not going to look right. Yeah, and this is one of those ones you got to actually, you know, unmask, set it aside, unmask, put it back on, you know, at least 3 or 4 times for this. And this is like a nightmare. Yeah, which I could see how extremely difficult this is. Like I said, this is why I don't see people really on anybody else's builds. They go to the decals. Yeah, because I could just, this is like insane. So even with this, like it's like there's no way I can actually paint this. The masks are already moving just looking at the thing. I don't really see a problem of it using it for the Aztecs because there's just more surface on it. It's just the Strongback has way too much decals. I mean, not decals, detail. And just to, you know, take them off, reapply, take them off and reapply. It'll just look like shit in the end, and then I'll end up just decaling over them. So I'm going to bite the bullet on this one, and we're going to go to decal on the Strongback. But because of that, I don't have to really worry too much on as far as the Aztec decals, because they're just bigger pieces. So I'm going to go ahead right now and just junk all this and, you know, prepare for decal after that. So I guess we'll just jump into the main Aztec part of this kit using the iridescence. So that will be what I'll do next after I just, you know, reset up from this. I got to get my head straight on this. This was a big waste of time. By the way, I filmed a lot of this. I mean, a lot. Yeah, I spent like half a day, literally about maybe 6 hours getting to here, and it's a waste. And I'm going to spend some more time, you know, resetting. So it is what it is. So if you guys want to plan on trying to paint the Strongback, more power to you. But I'm going to tell you my experience. It's just you might as well just have a good afternoon with freaking syphilis. So like I just previously stated, we're going to go right into the iridescent colored Aztec, whatever. I'm going to go about it starting with the belly side first and just work my way out. Now, the way these orbital dry dock masks are supposed to work is first you find like the section you want to work with. They cram a lot of it on a sheet, obviously on a sheet of the vinyl mask, just to, you know, obviously, you know, not waste much of this as they can. You know, stuff is money. But, you know, they come with, like, you know, for the paint patterns for the refit and for the A, and some of it they give you, like, you know, doubles because things happen. You know, they also did give me doubles for the Strongback, but like I said before, I don't think that's even worth it. That's just insane. Anyways, so for the belly right here, there's actually two pieces. It's over here and over here. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of roughly cut it out. Okay, put that aside. Now this one is on the forward part, so thought it would be an issue because of my little plug here, but I guess not. So now normally you'd probably start with the full sheet, but obviously I was using some of it for, you know, doing this thing here with the Strongback, so I kind of wasted some of it. But there should be extra involved. So I got actually a little scrap of it right here, but anyways, try to like plan accordingly on how to reduce and save some of this. Oh good, that's actually a full sheet. Gotta ignore this little line here. It was meant for kind of like, what was it meant for? It was meant for one of the pie wedges of a saucer, when I realized I didn't need to cut that yet. So I'll just use some of this. Then kind of take a little squeegee tool, push it in. So somewhat grabs it. Trying not to take the whole sheet off and cut it just because it keeps the adhesive clean. But like I said previously, these masks stick better to this transfer paper than it does to the bottle. That just shows like the low tack this stuff has. I guess I did cut it. Interesting. Come here, you bastard. Okay. That's this one. I know I got a little piece of spare right here. Hard to pick this stuff up, it's so flat. Okay. And then there's this guy right here. Okay, I'll set these ones to the side. Now, going to actually need something like this. And what I want to do now is to literally trim it to the edge as close as I can. Now, if I had super perfect vision, I probably wouldn't need this, but after you get the transfer paper on there, it is really hard to see, you know, the lines on this thing. That one. I'd rather have a hair more than cut too much off here. Right. Now the fun part of applying this dumb thing and also make sure your surface is prepped too. I just prepped it by hitting it with some 1500 sandpaper and tack ragged it off. And that's also what I did for the Strongback, but it really still didn't stick. I'm gonna pull my little tape here away just to give me a little bit of room just in case. And I'll just reapply it. Fun part is getting the backing paper off too, because like I said, one of the things is that it sticks pretty good to the backing paper, but not to the model, but it sticks really good to this. And this is what we need to remove. So throughout this process, you probably will need, you know, like your hobby knife, because if you can get part of it down, you're gonna have to peel some of it away. Some of it's gonna like still stick to the back end, so you just press down real hard and pull it back again. What I end up having to do, I have to use like my tweezers just to kind of hold it down, and if I see it leaving some of it, just press it back down onto the backing paper and it'll come up, and then almost kind of like roll it. I don't know if you can see me do it, but you kind of want to roll it. And if you see it like there, right there, wants to come up, just push it back down and then it'll go back. You have to do this often. Keep seeing this one thin line that wants to stay. See, there it is again. Sorry if my hand's in the way for you to see me doing this, but it's like, this part is very tedious. This is going to be great fun when we get to the nacelles, that's for sure. Of course, one little stripe just wanted not to cooperate, so I'll just take it and kind of put it back in. There we go. Some of this you're going to actually have to fix by hand. As far as lining it all up. That's it. I'm just trying to work it down. They say to do the rolling trick, which was kind of like similar on how I pulled the backing off. But of course, when you start it, kind of already wants to, like I said, stay on the backing paper. Of course, you don't want to put too much force down on this thing too. You're going to bust your pylons. I mean, it's great the stuff is low tack, you know, you don't want it to, you know, mess up your paint underneath it, but this is like extremely, it's like, hey, I think you can add a little more tack to this. You know, I think it'll be fine. Like I said, this thing just doesn't really want to stick to the model that great. The only way you can do this part here is you gotta have patience. You gotta have patience watching me do this mother. Honestly, I thought applying these masks would be a little more quicker than this. Jeez. Ooh, that one mask sure moved. Gonna have to retweak these little squares. This little square here needs to be retweaked. Really need to put something underneath here to just to not put any strain on my pylons. Well, I'm towards the end. Careful. And believe me, this is probably one of the simpler masks that this kit has. Almost there. Dumb little square again. Little square. Square. Little fixie. Okay. Just want to shift it a little. There we go. So all that just for this little bit. So hopefully you understand why a lot of it I'm going to be doing off camera, because this is just, this part is patience, and a lot of time. I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll go explain painting at least this part of it, because this is kind of like the whole fun part of this thing. Well, I thought this part would be at least fun part. The spraying would be fun. This part is probably the worst part. All right, so moving on to the next phase. Well, this is the beginning part of our iridescent color masking. Now, for the belly, obviously you saw me apply it. Next step is you got to weed out parts of what your first color, and which, as you can see, this is what's going to be gold. I have no real particular order on which color order I'm going to do first. I just chose to do gold first. With the kit, you know, Orbital Dry Dock gives you pretty much a printout of, you know, the sections. They tell you to use a highlighter to mark colors before. If you go, they also have online instructions that shows you the colors on what it should be. It's not completely accurate with Orbital Dry Docks as far as like the paint guide goes, but it's fairly close. So you have to use a little bit of imagination. I don't think one person knows the exact Aztec paneling as far as like bellies and that kind of stuff goes, as opposed to color too. That was pretty much not well documented as far as the original studio model for when Paul Olsen painted it. Well, anyways, so I couldn't find any highlighters. I just went ahead and used a marker and just, you know, made little color dots on what I plan on it to be. And then when you remove your masks, get some like parchment paper, and kind of stick them up on there. Don't lose them, and kind of put them in order, like where you got it from, just so you don't lose them. So this one kind of slipped from somewhere, and then kind of set it aside. Parchment paper doesn't really make these stick to it, so, but we don't want it to get lost. So now I want to explain the paint that I'm using. Pretty much everybody that's done this, they say use the Mackenzie taxidermy paint. Well, I tried to order that stuff, and I'm here in the States. I know you can't order it if you're not in the United States, just because it's a type of lacquer paint, and there's problems with shipping that comes with that. But for some reason, I went and ordered the 4 colors from them, and like more than a month later, heard nothing back, no confirmation of shipment or anything. They did process my money and stuff, but emailed them back. I emailed them, and they just said, they told me like, oh, we're having trouble acquiring blue, but they still didn't ship me the other stuff. And then about a couple weeks go by later, I emailed them again. And by the way, I did this well in advance to make sure, you know, I have time. So in case of any snafus like this, I'm not going to be sitting and waiting too long. I ended up getting nothing, no word back. It's like they just ignored me. They said, screw you. So I had to get my money back, and I had to research hard on what am I going to actually use for an iridescent instead of a pearl. Pearl would be great if this thing was a lot bigger, but an iridescent is better. The only thing I could find that I'm going to, you know, obviously this is going to be my experiment as far as iridescence, is this airbrush paint I acquired from Michael's Arts and Crafts, Jacquard or Jacquard or whatever the f you want to call it. These are actually iridescents. I ended up getting, was it the 4-ounce bottles? But they don't have gold. Let's put it this way: they have the red, blue, and the green, but they don't have gold. So I got yellow, and I happen to have that. I ended up buying on clearance like a couple years ago, but never used them. Happens to be from the same company, a metallic set. So I took these small little thingies, both of them are gold, just different shape, different shades, dumped them all in one of these bottles and filled the rest with the yellow, and it actually came out to this nice shimmering gold that I like. So it is technically an iridescent with a little bit of metallic in it. By the way, this is the same thing I used on the bridge. So just letting you know. So this was actually used in action already, so I'm kind of happy with it. So now it's time to actually pour in some paint, and because this has a little bit of a metallic in it, it's going to need a little bit of straining. I don't think these ones will need it. We'll find out when it gets to it, because I haven't yet to test them. But obviously we did the gold so far, so there will be a little bit of straining. I don't need much, just enough to pour in. And obviously for this type of paint job, it's really low pressure and not heavy. You're just kind of dusting it on there. So turn on my fan here. Make sure I'm running. I am. I'm just going to kind of dust it from far away. And that's it. That's all I want. And how I can tell I got it is by just looking at the tape. I don't know if you can see it, but it's on there. So clean my airbrush out and let this dry, which shouldn't take too long. It's so light. Put my masks back on it and do a different color. Right, now I'm weeded for blue. All these little black dots is where I've already did gold. So I'm gonna put some of this blue into my airbrush. I actually really don't even need the fan for this one. So just light dust over the whole thing. Here, maybe if I can do it where you can see it. That's enough for that. Little light spot on this one over here. Okay. All right. Again, another cleaning and another masking. All right. Now we do some red. Red. That's it. Reddish. Okay. And after this, blue. My mistaken. Not blue, green. We already did blue. So here you go. Green, last color for this part of the belly. So you can see it. Wires on my way. Oh, that's a much better look. That's the trick. Part of the mask and paint guide says to keep your pressure down low. It's like 15 or 20. Didn't seem right, just the way some of the colors was like laying out on there. Almost a little bit too spotty. So all I do is just up my pressure to 30, aimed backwards a little bit more, and there you go. So let this dry, unweed it, and we'll view the progress. All right, I got my ribs for, I guess it's the starboard side of the secondary hull. By the way, I thought about, go ahead and doing the unspeakable act of time-lapsing an entire masking job and just paint the whole thing. Well, come also to realize, just by, like how I demonstrated on applying these, because how much of a pain in they are and how much they don't really stick that well, I'm just going to go do small sections at a time and then paint it and then move on. So because I already showed you on what it's kind of like to put these things on, I may show a couple of different things as I go on myself putting them on, but mainly I'm not going to really film that, because even just applying this right here, it took me about, I want to say, at least start to finish, probably like about 45 minutes to an hour just to do this. That's how tedious this is. So this is probably also what makes this type of build so long, is really applying the masks. This, now I would say this is like 98% of the job, and the other 2% is just applying the paint. So anyways, the rib detail part over here is pretty easy, because all it really is one color. It's gold, but it's about layering it, because of course when you're using like a transparent or an iridescent or a pearl, whatever, the more you apply, the more intenser it gets. It's not like an opaque color where you can put it on forever and it's still the same color. So, but in this case, I want my ribs to be the darkest. So what I'm going to do is just put a light coat over the ribs, and then I'm going to remove sections, spray the whole thing because the ribs are going to get darker, but the section will be lighter than the ribs, and I'll even take off a little bit more. So my first section that I already sprayed the second time is going to be lighter than the last, but yet the ribs are going to be the darkest. So that's kind of how it goes. So I got my color in. I have my pressure up for this stuff set at 30, and of course I'm going to be back and I'm just going to dust it on. Oh, before I do that, make sure this one's pushed down. That's it for that. So let me go get my hobby knife and a set of tweezers. Basically, it's like block sections as far as this goes. So deal with this one, because this guy didn't really like the stick anyways. You know, this is like a little bit too light. I'm just going to add a little bit more because I don't even see a line. Okay, there we go. That's enough. Take a little heat on it. In a case, this stuff, whatever, this brand is a water-based. Just so you know. All right. I don't need to save these ones. Because it's one color. On the upside, this one here will be darker than the rest. A little uniqueness to it. Now you probably can't see it, but I do see ribs. See? I do have a reference photo. I kind of peek back every now and then. Do this one. Like a midsection. Maybe two. So about here. Basically have this whole tail, almost the whole tail, but I'm going to break it up on this one here. Okay, now a very light coat. All right. Again. Move just a couple more. Rest of this. Okay, another light coat. And that's it. So hopefully you can see it, how the ribs are darker. And there's a couple blocks in there of gold, a little bit lighter than the other. Gives it a little uniqueness, but of course, you got to unmask it. So let me just go ahead and hit this up. This will really show it off. Because stuff wants to stick to you, but it doesn't really stick to the model that great. Get off me, it's like a booger. I do like this gold detail on how this part is coming out. I'm having my iffies on this one, but that's kind of like almost like a test, even though I should have did it separately. But the reason why I did on the bottom, because that's probably the less seen area. Okay. I think it turned out great. All right, so next is the other side. All right, same process as the other side as before. Light pass on the ribs. Remove some sections, light pass again over the whole thing. Remove a couple more sections, light pass over the whole thing, and you're done. Light pass. Okay. Now, let's see what I want to do here. I think I'll take this one out. And maybe this little guy right here. That guy. Maybe want a few darker ones. This one. This one. This one. All right. A couple random darkies. Now, I'll just go ahead and pull this guy out. Come on. You stubborn. Leave. Let me see. Pull this one. This one. Come on out. You can do it. Okay. Final light pass. And that's it. So let's go ahead and let's see what we have here. There's one mask on my finger like a booger. A little fine line bit of mask in here. Come on. It's all clinging to me. Why can't you stick to the model like the way you're clinging to me? What do you think? You gotta see for myself. I like it. Okay. Let it dry, seal it up, and then it will be onto this type of area. So now we're on the side of the secondary hull. I guess it's the starboard side. Doing this side right here. Obviously, you can see I weeded out the first color, which is going to be gold. Of course, this time I had to hit up my kids for some damn markers, except one of the little bastards gave me a freaking dry blue one, so I had to use purple. So basically, on the Trek Mauler's paint guide, it's not exact the same as Orbital Dry Dock's masks pattern. So it's just kind of roughly, I kind of roughly came close to it and kind of visualized by how much. The Orbital Dry Dock has more, let's say more finer pieces than the paint Trek Maulers. So I kind of had to add in a couple. But kind of like, you know, there's no one really knows the exact pattern. It's just a close guess. So it doesn't hurt if you improvise a little bit, which I kind of did. So also applying this section here is also a pain in the ass, because you're dealing with a curve this way and a curve this way, and just trying to get it all lined up. These masks are so small. Of course, as usual, you know, it doesn't really want to stick that great, so it's kind of you're gonna have to fight it a little bit, kind of have to literally put it back on. And also, I have these set aside down here, maybe you can see it without messing my tripod here. Over here, I kind of have it laid out the same way as this, so that way, let me readjust, so that way I know exactly, it makes it easier to find to reapply. And also I'm going to lay that on top of them so nothing happens to them in the process. And by the way, they're on a piece of wax or parchment paper, so they'll be fine. Shaking up my custom gold. My airbrush is on. So let's just do a light coat of gold. Okay. Just a light coat. All right, my light coat. All right, so obviously I gotta let it dry, reapply the masks, and on to the next color. Shaking up some red. That's the next color. Enough for that one. Same process. Dry, cover, weed. Wish I could smoke it. And next color. Now we paint green. One more color. Final color. That's enough. Okay. Now, dry, and now reveal what this looks like. Probably looks like shit, but hell, it's my piece of shit. Well, that's what we got so far. As far as like working with this paint, obviously it's not better than the Mackenzie stuff, but of course, like I already explained my issue with that, and part of the whole learning process also with you guys is trying other products, seeing what we could do. Now the gold color I'm actually happy with doing with my little creation with the yellow and adding some of the metallic gold into it. And the green actually looks pretty good too as I'm twisting it through light. The only ones that I have my little is the blues and the reds. The reds don't really have that, you know, when it hits the right light you can see, you know, a little bit of the iridescent shine and pop to it. It looks more like, I don't know, just pink, really. And kind of the same way with the blue, it doesn't have that, I mean, I could barely see it, but it's not like the gold and the green. But it's I'm kind of already too late into it. I'm going to run it anyways. And who knows, a miracle might happen on the way. It just also maybe how I'm perceiving this. So anyways, you know, so we're going to continue on. I'm going to seal this up and then we'll do the opposite side. Okay, now just like the other side. So obviously, one fist in the gutter, 1 foot in the gold. Even though that's backwards. So here we go. And now for the next color. Again, blue. Where that one blew off of. Up there. Okay. Next color. Now the red, supposedly. Next color. Well, this part's done. So I guess I need to talk about this. When I'm cutting, obviously, you know, these paints were kind of experimental, obviously. Like I initially said before that, you know, I wanted to use the Mackenzie, but of course, you know, this damn shit never wanted to show up, so I was kind of screwed on that. But then again, you know, if you're not in the United States, you can't get it anyway, so you have to find alternate sources. So basically, this is my way of helping you guys that's not in the United States by doing the experimenting myself, because this is basically an experiment. Now, as far as the 4 colors go, you know, with my custom gold, which is nothing more than the yellow and the same brand with mixing, you know, a little thing of a gold metallic into it, that's pretty good. I like it. I like how that turned out. But as far as these by themselves, now let me tell you, they are iridescents. That's the same thing as the Mackenzies are. Basically an iridescent is a super fine pearl, which makes sense because the actual studio model was airbrushed in a pearl. Pearls were great for this if it was the same size. Well, this is smaller than the studio model. This is like when all said and done, it's like probably like 1/3 of it. So pearls might just be too big for it. But as far as these iridescent goes, I'm really only happy with my custom gold and the green, because those two, when I turn it at an angle, I can see the color into it. I can actually see vibrance, and then I can see it not have vibrance, and it's just the way it's supposed to be. But I'm not happy with the red and the blue, the iridescent red and the iridescent electric blue. The blue just looks blue. It doesn't really, no matter which angle you turn it, it doesn't have, that pop when you hit it in the right light like it's supposed to have. And the red is kind of the same. In fact, the red looks more like very fine spots, and it actually doesn't even look red. It looks very pink. Now, honestly, I've never seen the studio model in person with it done like this, and I think only a small handful of people in the world ever have. And the one thing that you kind of have to understand when it comes with how the model looks when you see it on screen versus how it looks in real life when it comes with the paint scheme. Realistically, in a real world, the color on the models that you see on film are drastically different than what you see in person in real life with your own eyes. A good example for this would be, since we're doing a Star Trek model, let's go back to the Enterprise D from the Star Trek The Next Generation series. When you watch it on screen on TV, whether if it's in the movie Generations or the series, the Enterprise looks looks basically gray. That's how it's supposed to be. But if you ever see the thing in person, or really nice pictures of the actual studio model with normal lighting, the damn thing is blue. It's a light blue. And that's the thing. After when you take the model, you do studio lighting and then camera filters, and then also how it and the exposure of the film and this and that and this, all those variables, it turns out totally different. And something that kind of reminded me, I've watched a while back of one of Adam Savage's from Mythbusters on his channel when he went to see the original Enterprise back in the at the Smithsonian. And the one thing he kind of mentioned, when you actually see how the paint work is on that, how it looks different than when you remember watching it on TV. And the thing he pointed out, because he worked for ILM, is that a lot of times they'll take test shots and test screenings and test filming of pretty much the model to see how it looks on film, so they can actually adjust the paint work, because it always looks different in person than what you see on screen. So what I'm trying to at least maybe train myself here, because every time I've seen this model and how it's painted is on the screen, whether if it's on my smart TV on YouTube or on my computer screen, or even all the other pictures and all this other stuff here, it's going through another camera, a different set of lighting, and this, that, and this, to get to the final image that I'm looking at, and I'm trying to recreate it that way, which is something you should not do unless you're really trying to make it look like how you want to see it in your own eyes, as of going through all that. Or how do you want it to look at the how it normally is really supposed to be. Basically, it's like a chain from in person to on the big screen or a small screen, whatever, and there's everywhere in between. So this could be right for all I know. It could be right. Maybe you're looking at it and it's like, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. That's how it's supposed to be. To me, the way I see it in person, I keep looking at it, I think it looks like an Easter egg. It's like Easter egg colors. Anyways, as I just want to go back, when it comes with this stuff, I would still suggest, if you can get the Mackenzie stuff, great, use it. I wish I could too. I'd be doing this with that. But I think I got an idea what I can do with these still. I don't think all hope is lost. I'm not going to just repaint all this. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to I think what I'm going to do is when I get to the next 5 color section, which will be, I guess, up here somewhere, be a great test before we get into here, is kind of do something like what I did with the gold, is to kind of like mix it with a metallic or something. I think as far as these goes, even though I'm kind of happy with the green, I think what I'll do is, for an example, is I do have some older pearlized airbrush water-based paint, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this and just add some of it to this, just to give it a little bit something. I'm not like going to do too much, but just to give it a little bit of a kick, basically. Because heck, the original student model was done in a pearl, so maybe I'll do the best of both worlds, an iridescent with a pearl, and we'll see how it turns out. If that's the case, this is something you guys out of the United States can do, because you can't get Mackenzie no matter what, is probably just cut with an iridescent water base with a little bit of an iridescent pearl. It might actually help, but we'll do that when we get there. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just, seal this up, give it a day to dry or something, start remasking and start prepping for this section, which is basically none of rib gold section. So I'm doing that one right now.